Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's joining us. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to kind of start letting people flow in the room. We got folks already in the waiting room. We shall be getting started within the next minute or so. So until then, just get on and get ready. All right. So I see that quite a bit of folks that have joined us already, including several AI folks. It's quite interesting. I don't know how many of you are actual real human or AI. So we shall see as we get in the session. Hello, my name is Carlson Choi. I'm your host for this event. I'm part of SLY, overseeing the go-to-market and operation team here. Today, we actually put together a really interesting set of topics. I think, among telling you a little bit about the SLY origin story, we also got our head of engineering joining us, Phil, and I'll let Michael do the introduction in a bit. Alongside, some of you might know Ryan Weeks, the security expert. He has joined us, kind of talk through some of the security needs that you as an MSP has experienced and might need to be considering on a go forward basis to maintain as a modern MSP partner. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to our CEO, Michael Fast. He will take you through our journey and get this thing started.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining. Many of you are partners. Some of you are just listening in, and super happy to have you all joining us today. I wanted to spend a few minutes. Some of you have already heard this, but I wanted to just make sure everybody has a chance to hear the backstory a little bit. And so again, if I'm repeating myself to some of you, please bear with me. But so I'm Michael Fass, CEO of Slide, and we started Slide as what I like to call the OG Datto team. As you know, many of you know, we ran a very successful company. It became a public company. We feel like it was a really special business that was super channel oriented and was really focused on building out the ecosystem for our partners. As you probably know, Data was acquired. That was not the ending that we were looking for either in the management team or some of the folks on the board, like Austin. And we kind of feel like it hasn't been a very good thing for the MSP community, particularly the folks that were partnering with Datto at the time. And so we, Austin and I, who really started this thing, felt a real pang to take care of what we call unfinished business, to make things right in the channel, and to bring back the magic. And so what we did was we basically found the best engineers that we knew, and they had all basically been cast aside after Datto was acquired. And this team worked in stealth mode for about 18 months to build Slide. And you'll see here on this page some of the team. Obviously, Austin and myself. Phil is here with us. He's our head of engineering. Of course, Carlson, who's my right-hand man, and Ryan Weeks, who we worked with very closely at Datto over the years, and he provides advice to this team as well. And very excited to have him here today. He was a part of really what made Datto special, and now he's on to great things as the chief information security officer and CIO of Vimeo, and doing really well over there. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for those of us on the panel for joining. And if we can go to the next slide, I want to just talk a little bit more about the mission and the vision of this company. We are a backup company, number one. That is all we are interested in, is backup. MSPs take care of work streams, workloads in all kinds of environments, from on-prem to in the cloud, in Azure, in G Suite, in O365. They take care of workloads that are often best protected on a direct-to-cloud basis. And the great thing is that all of the people who used to work in our last company, who are the best people in the world at all of these things, they now work at Slide. And so all of these things are in the kitchen brewing up. But what we decided was the best thing to do was start with the hardest problem to solve. And so that's why we started with the BCDR product. It is the most complicated. It represents what we believe is the most neglected piece of the MSP stack that is in the backup era. And it is a foundational element for all these other backup solutions that are out there and that we will be working on in the days ahead. And again, I guess it makes sense to talk a little bit about the why. We chose backup. We chose BCDR first from backup because the current solutions on the market are based on 20-year-old technology. The space has been neglected. The incumbents, as you all know, are basically big roll-ups that have all kinds of different products that they sell. Many of them are on totally different stacks. And when they buy these companies that have these different products, they then smash them together. They dramatically cut their operating budget. They move engineering offshore into what I like to call maintenance mode. Most of the key engineers leave these businesses. The customer support function tends to get obliterated. The features, the functionality, the security, the reliability of these products tend to stagnate. And this is essentially why Austin McCord and I started Slide, and why all these people who used to work there have come to work with us, because we are a mission-driven organization committed to MSPs and their backup needs. So I want to talk about our core values for 2 minutes here. Number one, you'll see on the bottom left here, we are an MSP-focused company. We will never sell direct. We will never try to undermine you and circumvent you to go back directly to your customers. I can't tell you how many MSPs we talk to that have experienced that. Our role, our mission is to have the MSPs back. It is to protect your backside. It is to provide for you an amazing set of products that also provide for you a great margin opportunity to help run your business and protect your end users' data sets. Another thing that's foundational to this business is the security component. We believe, and again, I've said this before, some of you have heard this before, but it's super important to us. We believe that that the backup solution is the best, and it's actually the last line of defense in protecting your client's data. And so we take that really seriously. One of the things that we know, and one of the reasons why we see the existing players as having outdated solutions, comes down to something as simple as like encryption. So in most of you might not even know this, but a lot of you do know this. Most of your BCDR, MSP-based BCDR products that are on-prem solutions, your backups are not locally encrypted at rest. And so that means basically if a bad actor were to access your client's physical device, all of that data on that device is readable to them easily. And as an MSP, you are obviously first and foremost a cybersecurity expert, a cybersecurity helper, provider for your end client. And we believe your current solution may very well create a massive security risk for you and your end clients, and we're here to help with that. Our BCDR is built with native encryption. It's new, it's better. It can't be turned off, and it doesn't cost you extra like you will see with most of our competitors. And we'll talk more about that anytime you want. You'll see in this demo Unlike most of our competitors' products, we have an extremely limited surface area of attack, and that is by design. And all of our products are developed by this team here in the U.S. We're not using contractors in faraway places whose native language is Russian or Chinese or anything like that. The third point, we are a product first company. You're going to see, if you remember the Magic Days, you're going to see this product. It's a wonderful product. It's going to get better and better as time goes on. Every month we have a new release with new features, and that's just going to be the cadence of the business going forward. Unlike most of our competitors, who are mostly just a bunch of salespeople and technology that's sitting on the shelf somewhere. And then last, but definitely not least, is that support experience. We recruited the best people from back in our old OG Datto days. They work here now, and we believe that the support experience is a key part and parcel of the partnership that we're trying to create, and we hope to bring that back. So with that, I'm going to pass this on to my venerable colleague, Phil Heckel, brilliant technologist, brilliant engineer, who is going to talk a little bit about Slide's architecture and how security is built into what we're offering to MSPs. And Matt, you can forward that on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And hi, everyone. I'm Phil, head of engineering here at Slide. I really like that intro that Michael gave. It he sort of hinted on some of the things that we want to deep dive. So just to give you an idea, we're gonna do a little bit of architecture, then we're gonna do a brief section on security, like that Ryan's gonna highlight. Then we're gonna do a live demo. I'm gonna try to keep it short because most of you are probably here just for the live demo. Don't want to hear us talk all the time. So the Slide solution, the first bullet point here is really cool. Actually, it's a stat that like keeps on increasing. We are a team of experienced BCDR engineers. Most of us are from Datto, or old job as we call it. So the 81.5 years keeps increasing. It's a number that is BCDR engineering experience. It's not engineering experience. So if you count the years of just working on BCDR, so if you have a lot of knowledge from engineers that understand the MSP space, they understand the VSS nitty-gritties, they understand the hypervisors that you use, like Hyper-V, ESX, Proxmox. We've all done this before, and now we get to do it again from scratch with like a clean slate where we don't have to write in legacy languages. No more PHP, no more awkward local web app. Everything is a central pane of glass. You have constant connections between your agent and Box and the cloud. And so like when you use it in the UI, everything is basically instant. MJ will walk you through a demo and you'll see like what that actually means in practice. But you also have like weird stuff that that we don't have to do anymore the way that back then Austin came up with it, because time has moved on. Encryption can be done more efficiently, which leads to huge storage savings, and we'll talk about that. So in effect, I mean, Michael already said it, we built a local appliance that takes backups from agents, currently Windows agents. We're working on we're going to work on Linux agent and agentless and such. That replicates to the Slide cloud. The Slide cloud is not a public cloud. We have two data centers co-located, our own data centers, hand-racked servers by me and my team. One in DC, one in one in New Jersey, one DC in New Jersey, and one in Toronto, and we're looking into other locations as well. We do block level backup, and we do instant virtualization for recovery. We have multiple ways to recover your data. Virtual machines literally spin up in a few seconds. File restores you can do image exports, which you can use for BMR restores or for to get stuff back running on your hypervisors. We verify every single backup using boot verification, so every single snapshot is verified. We do check every single backup's file system, see if all of that checks out. And the last two bullet points are kind of a special thing: NVMe on the local appliance and in the cloud, which translates to everything's ridiculously fast. You'll also see that in the VMs when you spin them up. There's no more spinning disk, no more spinning rust. That kind of holds you back in I/O land. So no more waiting for I/O. And then mandatory encryption, that's sort of the theme of the day. Mike also hinted on that. We use ZFS encryption with AES GCM under the hood with random keys. There's key management or password management on top of it. You can choose your own keys, or like by default, Slide manages the keys for you, which means that if your appliance gets stolen or our data center gets broken into or something like that, people can't use that data. It's essentially garbage for them, which is a huge relief. The other benefit, so that at no cost, is an amazing benefit because we're encrypting, we're compressing and then encrypting the data with ZFS encryption. That means you're not you have a much higher storage ratio. So like you're using a lot less storage, and thereby you can essentially buy smaller devices. Competitors do it the other way around. They do encryption and then compression, which obviously yields to absolutely no compression, which drives your cost. And obviously that's not what you want. So I'm going to hand over to Ryan to sort of scare you a little bit with that's your role here, Ryan. No?
I don't know how I got that MO, but yeah, I mean, listen, so I could sit here and I could tell you about how threat actors are using AI and how MSPs are under the same amount of attacks, if not more, than they have been for the past 5 years. You can read about all that stuff. Largely what I've been kind of working with the team on and talking to Phil about recently is that when you look at like the larger landscape of security breaches, the tactics that attackers are using that are successful are not changing. AI is helping them move faster with some of those attacks, but it's not creating true innovation for them yet. And so, unfortunately, it's still lost and stolen credentials, exploitation of vulnerabilities, web application security weaknesses, and social engineering. Same four things over and over and over again. They're just thematic. The past, really almost 10 years. It's crazy that not much has changed there. So, again, when Phil and I were talking, I was like, well, let's frame this, or what I call these the barn doors, right? So one of the things I always do is a barn door assessment when I walk into any environment, whether I'm doing consulting or whether I'm, it's the security program that I'm running. The first thing I do is do a barn door assessment. And that is, how do our security controls and our capabilities stack up against these attack vectors? And so, as to kind of double down on the like security first focus for Slide, they were even before coming out of stealth, they were building in these security controls to combat a lot of the success that threat actors have had attacking BCDR appliances in the MSP ecosystem in the past, and because we all know that one of the things that the attackers do is destroy the backups to increase their ability to ransom environments. And even though there's been a little bit of a swing towards extortion, pure play extortion attacks, ransomware is still very much a real thing. And we have to worry about those availability risks that come with that. So on the credential side, Phil discussed, this concept of always on encryption. which is built into the price for free. That alone gives you peace of mind that you really can't get with any other product on the market unless you're DIYing it yourself and you have that assurance. And the cool thing about that is you are in complete control of that encryption through user managed passphrases, and that ecosystem is going to be really hard for an attacker to attack from a credential perspective. On top of the fact that they can't, in order to even get there to try and leverage a passphrase, they need to get in to the UI, which we all know MFA is an incredibly strong defense, which is why you see MFA basically a universal protection across the board here for all of these attacks, but for vulnerabilities. So there's really a defense in depth approach that Slide has been taking to really make sure that each of these barn doors is closed, locked, and shuttered. And that doesn't mean that there's not, one of the things Phil and I were also talking about is this, and one of the things we really loved about Old Job is the level of transparency that we used to bring around our security and what we're doing next. And we wanted to continue that. So there's always more to do. Security is a journey, not a destination, right? So we just put a couple things down here that's in our kind of our near-term roadmap, just to show that like we're not satisfied with this being enough. There's still more that we're working on to continue to harden and like really make these things like completely bulletproof. But right now with like all the kind of security controls you see here across all of these different areas, I can confidently say this is an appliance purpose built for you and your needs that is built with security in mind, and was built with security from the ground up. And I can't begin to tell you how valuable that is, because a lot of the constructs, the architecture was built with security in mind. As you build onto an architecture that wasn't built with security in mind, you create even more and more and more issues. So when you start with a secure architecture, you make it really difficult for yourself to do things that create large scale issues for yourself in the future. And so this is really a scalable platform, not only from a BCDR perspective, but a scalable platform in that security is going to scale with it and with the size of your problem. So, take a gander at the slide, pick out anything you might want to ask questions about later. I'm not going to go through every bullet point, but we're happy to take questions at the end. And so, I don't think I managed to scare you. Of course, you all know I could talk about this stuff for days. So happy to answer any questions at the end.
So like maybe leave the slide up for a second, because I wanted to just like talk about a few things that you highlighted on the slide. So like I'm just gonna list all the things that we do, because I have a separate list that I forgot to put in a slide, but I really wanted to talk about it. And Rebecca is trying to turn on my video. There you go. Here I am again in my hoodie. So like we do mandatory encryption, we do mandatory 2FA, so you can't turn that off. We're working on Microsoft like integrating SSO, so that you have your own identity provider. You can bring your own identity provider, and you can do all the things you do with hardware tokens or whatever you like. We have the user managed passphrases where you can put in your own passphrases, and then like we can't even read your data, right? So unless you're doing restores that or you're doing a backup on the box itself, your data is locked and not readable. We're doing delayed deletions of agents, so that's part of the immutable backup. We're adding more to delayed deletion of individual snapshots in short order. We're doing fully automated updates everywhere, meaning our infrastructure, like our cloud infrastructure, as well as the boxes themselves. We do package updates as well as image updates that update the entire operating system every 2 or 3 weeks or so. So you shouldn't be Like
Yeah.
if you're doing Nessus scans or like any sort of scanning on the box itself, there's only one port open. There's absolutely nothing, like there's no SSH. You can't like log in. There's no.
Which is absolutely huge too, right? Because the attacker's getting residents inside the network and they see the BCR appliance and they're trying to figure out, how do I get into this thing in order to delete the backups? And they literally can't. They have to go through the web app to do it. Well, the web app's pen tested. By the way, the people doing the pen testing are also BCDR experts,
Yeah.
with offensive security certified, like
And
true.
it's a white box pen test. So like
Yeah.
he has access to the code. So like he will actually look at the code and try
Yeah.
and like break in.
So
But
yeah, so you could look at these silos as individual things, but in reality, they all compound. They stack to create this like really difficult to attack security layer. But yeah, the single port exposure may not seem like a big deal, but it is actually huge, because the reduction of that attack surface over your traditional BCR appliance is phenomenal in terms of protection value.
yeah, that's all I wanted to add. The again, you can ask lots of questions later, but I don't want to take time away from the demo. But if you can click MJ, I'm supposed to briefly talk about the API. So the API is pretty cool. We provide a REST API, which is a first-class citizen to our application. So everything that you're going to see, or almost everything that you're going to see MJ demo in the console in the web application, you can also do with the REST API. So you can pair agents, you can list protected systems, you can list devices, you can update devices, you can explore your backup so you can write your own reports. You can do, you can spin up virtual machines or like other restores, image exports, file restores. Soon we're in the process of doing a file search feature. You're gonna be able to search across snapshots on like the agent's file system. You can push files to the original agents. You can define all the software-defined networking stuff that we have, which please ask me about it. I'm very passionate about it. They're really, really cool. You can manage alerts, all that stuff from the API. We're launching an AI feature which uses the API internally. That alone ensures that the API will have to stay up to date. So you're not going to fall behind in terms of like what you can and cannot do in the API. And then a nice thing that like proves how cool the API is, there's Austin dabbles with it a lot. So he made a domain slide.recipes, and he made these lots of mini apps in which he like sort of proves how cool the API is. So like he has a file browser and a dashboard for your boot verification, and he made a mobile app, even like a progressive web app, mobile app, which is really cool, which is all on top of the API. So you should check it out if you're, these days you can have the AI write most of it, so you don't even have to be able to write code. Yeah, that's me. I think that leaves MJ and the demo.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Hey guys, I'm MJ, sales engineer here at Slide, and what we'll do is we're going to go through a bit of the Slide console. I know a lot of you guys have already seen it. Would love to kind of sit down and geek out about all of it with you and go through a full live demo, top to bottom. But what we'll do today is really just focus on some of the really, really cool parts of Slide. So this is our Slide console. You get a lot of really good analytics kind of across the board. You can see everything from the devices you have connected, the agents you have connected to it. Something that Slide is doing that's really, really special is the fact that we take your snapshots. We can do 30-minute snapshots. You can schedule it throughout the day. But not only are we just taking the snapshots, we're also replicating every single one of those off to the cloud. So you don't have to worry about whether or not that data is safe in a secondary place. We have a copy of it in those data centers for you. But not only that, we are also verifying every single snapshot. So that way you don't have to wonder or guess whether or not that one of those snapshots is healthy. You can rely on it. You can see the bootable image and know that in a disaster recovery scenario that you can rely on it. As we go down towards the bottom, something that I'd like to illustrate is just how intuitive the UI is. So what we generally like to say is that you're never more than about 5 clicks away from some sort of a restore process. You can get to those restores pretty simply by using what we call our slide outs. So I clicked on the on our slide box here on the bottom. We get this UI element where we can look through all the details. We can see the client we have it associated with. We can see all of our different protected systems, as well as some of those boot verifications that we talked about. And even if we wanted to, let's say, take one of these most recent snapshots, we can create a restore directly from it. So we have our virtual machine options, our file restores, as well as our image exports. The virtual machine UI is one UI, whether or not you are doing a local or a cloud restore. So we have a drop down here that just allows you to simply shift between the two. As mentioned, security is a massive pillar here at Slide. So we talked about those bring your own passphrases. Everything is always encrypted. There's no option to even turn it off. But as the team had mentioned, you have an ability to add an extra layer on top. So that way, the only people who have access to this data, regardless if you're doing a virtual machine or a simple file restore, are those who have that passphrase. So in order for me to start this virtual machine, I do need to enter the passphrase here. You have some other options such as how you would like to do the restore. So if you're just testing and playing around with it, you have an option for it. Alternatively, you can do a disaster, which does notify our support team. It gets a ticket and all of the information ready for them so that they can more quickly assist. So for us, we're going to just try and test here on the local appliance. So the other thing while we get the resources loaded at the bottom is our networking. So the networking, as Phil had mentioned, is something that he's quite passionate about. I personally really like these options as well, because you can build out these networks ahead of time. So in the event of a disaster or some sort of kind of stressful scenario, we have these networks ready to go, whether they are a bridge network that uses the slide box, builds a layer 2 network to connect anything you're virtualizing through to that local environment, all the way up to a maybe larger scale disaster network. So our disaster networks allow you to build out everything from the scope, the IP range you're going to use, the DNS servers that you're using in those environments, all the way to how those users are going to connect over to those networks. So whether that we are going to do a site-to-site VPN from a secondary site, or if you have remote users who just need to connect in using like a WireGuard connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh my page here just because I've been a little stagnant on it. So that way I can get my resources to load. Here we are. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin that up in the cloud, and you'll see just how quickly this loads up. Some of the other things that I can kind of showcase here at the bottom is just the total number of resources that we have available within our slide cloud. So we structured it a little bit differently than some of our competitors, where we have a single slide appliance, and in kind of standard fashion, it would be to one cloud node or something like that. We call them BICs up in our data center. But what's really nice is we kind of disperse the agents across that data set. So we have tons of resources that you can leverage in the event that you do need to virtualize something in the cloud. So if, for example, we wanted to throw more memory at it, we have that as a resource that we can use. So we'll give that a couple seconds, but we'll be able to see this start to virtualize in real time. So we'll get a small VNC window off to the right here. And if you guys have pretty bad eyes like I do, we can absolutely click on that little window to get a full screen here. But I will leave it up in real time so we can just see how quick this is to boot. And remember, I had this sealed, I unsealed it. I had also applied a pre-built disaster network onto this appliance. And within about 30 seconds, we have this stood up in our slide cloud. One of the other things that I'd love to show you guys is a file restore. So the way that I like to do it personally is to come over to snapshots, because I think this gives you a nice chronological order and view of all of the different snapshots across time. So if we needed to, we can click the 3 ellipses. And again, we have our virtualize options in all of our different restores, but you can choose to browse files. And this will mount up the volume. It becomes accessible within the UI. And then we can drill down to the data that we're looking for. And here, let's say we've accidentally blown away our documents folder. We can either download a copy of that and become a proud new owner of that data, or we can copy the URL and share it with our users. They access the URL and download a copy of that data. So there's a lot of different ways you can mount this data. Another thing that I'd like to show you is something that Phil had touched on a little bit. So with our API, there's tons of access. You can build your own apps. You can build your own tools. But something that we've done, and we are working to incorporate this directly into the UI, is the ability to leverage something like Claude or an LLM in order to mount the restore and find the data that you're looking for. So in this example, I wrote a very basic prompt just indicating that I am looking for something that had to do with being very important. This was the last time that I saw it. Here's where it was, and asking it to recover that for me. So now with the power of AI and the Slide API, we can let this do the work for us. So we can go off, we can make a cup of coffee, we can go ahead and look at other restores and things that we might need to do. AI being non-deterministic, we're going to go and point this to the correct box. And it'll go through and it'll find the agent, which I gave it a description for, and it'll mount the different restores and look for that information for us. The really cool thing is it then gives us the same options in order to take the URL, to share it if we need to, so that way we don't have to become an owner of that data.
And so MJ is using the Cloud Desktop client, but we're in the process of wrapping up to integrate this into the console UI. So you'll see it on the left side as an option as chats, and you can literally just chat with your environment and spin up verts and spin up environments or search for files and such. Very cool.
Yeah, because I think everybody here within this webinar today, I think at some point we've all had that unfortunate situation where somebody's looking for data, they don't really remember where it was or what the file name was even to start with. But as we can see here, it looks like it's found it in my documents folder. It found a very important file .txt, and it provides the URL in order for me to access that data. And I can, of course, pull that into my browser and get a copy of that information, which is pretty cool. Awesome.
Great. MJ, thank you for the demo there. You can just wanted to know quite a bit of MSP kind of piloting what you just saw with AI, and I'm sure several of you, if not all of you, have done can relate to that where a client would call looking for that file. We will also call this feature the margin improvement program. We will not stop you to continue to bill your client 2 to 3 hours for finding that file with just such an efficiency of what the team have built here. With that said, MJ, can you flip to that next slide here? Great, thank you. We just want to kind of wrap up here a little quickly and then jump into kind of a Q&A panel. From a appliance perspective, we have 3 line of product today. We've got the Z1, R1, and the B1. And the Z1, it's just a small little a device that pretty much the size of a Mac Mini, as we call it, it's a Mac Mini with a power button in the front. It goes up to a 16 terabyte. And then we got a rack mount configuration, both 1U and 2U. And the B, by the way, it does stand for big. In all these cases, you notice it goes all the way up to 150 terabyte in the B line. What it allows you to do is that effectively managing client size that could be an enterprise level size all the way down to the individual home office through the Z1 line. Every one of these, just as a reminder, as Phil has shared, they run on NVMe architecture, solid state, everything. The only moving part you're going to find is going to be the fan. and that's about it. With that said, I'm going to go ahead. By the one other note to know that from a subscription agreement perspective, we actually, as an organization, decide to match our go-to-market motion to yours, because at the end of the day, your client could be, disappear one day, or they can consolidate it. So our contractual commitment is month to month. We want to make it extremely easy to work with. And the team will even make a simple button you can cancel anytime you want, because what we want to do as an organization is earn your business every single day we wake up to that. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and transition and ask all the panelists come back on board and answer any question that we might have in. We have already have quite a bit of folks that came in already. So MJ, can you go ahead and fast forward to the slide, please? And we have both Ryan, Michael, and Phil rejoining us. We got a couple set of questions that came in, so I'm going to trying to get us kick started here for the next, let's just call it next 10 minutes. In general, for the panelists, I think there's quite a bit of interest. One of the questions that came in was, myself as an MSP today, kind of interesting that you shared that we have not been encrypting our data today with current providers. With that said, how do we get started with that journey? Kind of put in Ryan's week's term. Where do I start? How do I manage the expectation of my client, for that matter? And what are the steps to take in that process? Could you guys, maybe address it from your point of view?
If I may, I would say first, it's not a bad thing that you were providing the best product that was available on the market at the time at a price that your client was happy to pay. That is not something that you should be that you should feel bad about. What you can do is you can deliver good news. We have a better product on the market, brought to you by the people who originally designed this product when it was the best product on the market. And just so happens, in most cases, whoever asked that question, we the MSP, can probably save you, the client, some money, and give you a better experience. And it's easier for us to manage. So we'd prefer to switch you over. How does that work for you? That's kind of the way that I would approach it. And if you want to work with us, now I'm talking to you directly, not role playing. Call me. Just call me. It's easy to get started. Everything we do is designed around being easy to do business with, and we would want you to sit in on a live demo with Matt or some of his colleagues and check it out. If you want to move forward and become a partner, we make that very easy. And we like to start small. If you have 100 different BCDR devices out there and you want to replace your whole fleet, that sounds great, but I'm not ready for you. You're not ready for us. We want to get in the shallow end of the pool. We want you to put us through our paces. We want you to take us for a test drive. We want to earn your business. And once we've earned your business, then we can talk about the bigger opportunity. But let's start slowly and let's get started.
Any comment to add, Ryan, Phil? Okay. You guys were laughing, so they got to be some comment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to Michael's point, you certainly shouldn't feel bad about it, because at the end of the day, the way those legacy solutions worked is, in order to be able to encrypt, the size of the on-prem appliances needed to be like way oversized relative to the systems they were protecting, and it just wasn't economical for your customers. But with the way this solution is designed, and thinking about encryption and compression and the order of those things and the technologies used to do that, there's a scale there now that allows you to bring that security to your customers at that price point that wasn't available in the market before. So it's
good news.
It's great news. It's phenomenal news. I mean, I was always on my soapbox all the time saying I wish every single agent was encrypted. And now it is.
Well, Phil hurt you. Phil hurt you when he started building.
No, I was going to offer an anecdote that I think most people will enjoy. So we're using ZFS encryption under the hood, which wasn't available back then. So like the old solution is using decrypt on top of ZFS, which is why the order of operations is encrypt and then compress, which yields to no compression at all, which is why you're paying double. Austin, back in the old company, saw this as an issue and tasked one of the engineers to build encryption into ZFS at Datto. That whole spiel took about a year, I think, and then more even to upstream it and to fine tune it. And now it's in the open source project, OpenZFS. You can look it up. Datto never made the switch. So we had to pay for it, they paid an engineer for it, and we're using it. But we have the person that developed this sits behind me. You can't see him because of the fake background. But like he sits behind me. So if I have questions about ZFS encryption, I can always go, hey, Tom, what's going on like with this? So that's a nice little anecdote of
I almost thought you were pointing to Michael. Because I was right.
no, I
Oh,
wasn't.
I didn't write any code. I didn't write any code.
No, but to add on to that was really interesting, right? Because even with your current provider, whoever that is, right? I think the fact is you do want as MSP ask them, if you want to start this journey, ask them how do I encrypt the data, even if they can note that you're going to have to increase, very likely have to increase the size of your appliance, right? We're hearing anything from the market anywhere between 3.5 to 4x of your protected workload because of Phil and the team having had a chance to kind of really rethink and start with a fresh slate. Here at Slide, we're only still at 2x of your protected workload. You're encrypted by default, and there's no way of turning it off because we take security as kind of you saw as one of the core pillars of our business.
All right,
Awesome.
more questions. More questions.
I was gonna say one last thing I'd love to throw on top of that last point about the encryption and passphrases. You can change your passphrase with Slide anytime. You don't have to worry about starting your data set over again. You can rotate it out if the password becomes compromised, so you don't have to worry there, and it's incredibly easy to do it.
And a lot of the compliance regimes that make encryption kind of required actually also require that you be able to change the password on a rolling basis. And so again, that's baked into the passphrase management that we have at Slide.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this is, and not just this, but like a lot of the things that Slide has done. Obviously, I get to consult and I get to sit there and see some of the cool stuff that Phil is building, and sometimes my jaw drops. Is like there's some really complicated tech behind this stuff, but the focus on making it really simple for you is like going in and changing a passphrase. There's really complex cryptography that's happening behind the scenes to make that happen. And Phil and I spent a bunch of time making sure that that was all like solid and good. But like the fact that it's super simple for you, like you really can't put a price on that. And that is pervasive in a lot, like the disaster networks, which I think is super cool. The passphrases, just the ease of the restores and like the even just in the navigation of the UI, like it really was built with like this idea of helping you do things faster and simpler, which is super cool.
It's I would say making things simple is difficult. All right, good transition. Next question, and Michael kind of mentioned this a little about compliance. Question comes is like, when are you going to have your SOC 2 compliant? The fact is, everyone said they're going through SOC 2. When and give us a sense of it's just a marketing thing.
Yeah. We have been spending an enormous amount of time on SOC 2 here at the business. We have a number of different folks who are basically devoted their entire jobs to doing that. We have an audit window between October 6th and 13th, I believe, and we expect that to come back with a stamp certified SOC 2 by December. That's and if you need a letter of attestation from our auditor, we're happy to provide that to you. These things take time, and you know why they take time? Because they're really hard. I learned that when Ryan joined us at Old Job, and it took a long time. and he's one of the best in the world at this. And so we're taking some of the lessons we learned from back then in ensuring that we're following the right path to do that.
Yeah, not even is it just complicated, and like complicated from the fact that like you need to put the right processes in place, and you need to continuously exercise them and make sure they work well. Remember, Slide came out of stealth earlier this year. To already be in a SOC 2 process inside of 6 months is like, is like breaking the sound barrier in terms of speed to get that. And the only reason that they can do that is because of that, like building with security in mind and having a lot of the answers to a lot of those questions already having been thought of in the 18-month period where the product was being thought of and designed and built. I've only seen it done faster once, and that was because it was an existing company that had an existing SOC 2 that entered the MSP space and just bolted this product onto their existing SOC 2. That's the only way you can go faster. And so I kudos to this team for doing the hard thing and doing it fast and making it a priority.
We're kind of coming up to the end of the time of the session. One last question comes in, a kind of fun one here. When are you guys going to have some kind of cool partners event down there at the headquarters? I'll leave that for Michael to answer that one.
That's a great question. So we spend a lot of time at events, and we've met so many new people, and met a lot of old friends and old partners, and a lot of them are now new partners at Slide, and we've been really careful in how we grow the business and whom we partner with. And I do expect that we will have partner only opportunities for you to interact with other partners and the team in the 2026 timeframe. We also like to mix partners with prospects because we want our prospects to hear from our partners the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because this is a company, this is a team of individuals leveraging software. Software is hard, so not everything is perfect, and we want everyone that works with us to hear the whole truth. That's one of the reasons why you might have seen in the chat that we have a Discord that anyone can join. And I encourage you, if you're a partner, if you're a prospect, if you're just curious, Slide curious, as I like to say, feel free to join us in the Discord. All of us are engaged in the conversation there. But thank you for your interest in meeting with other Slide partners, and we'll make it happen.
Yep. All right, MJ, let's advance. And just a note, as we emphasize what Michael said. Next step, I'm sure that there's still a couple more questions out there. Let's bring those to our Discord. Our entire engineering team, all of our team are there continuously. You'll be able to also speak to other existing partner and upcoming partners from our network from that standpoint. And the things that Rebecca is going to pop up a little survey. We always love to improve. We want your feedback. How did this session go? Is it what you want to hear? What do you love about? What are the next steps? By completing the survey, though, you get a chance to win this awesome Anchor Power Bank. This is one of our awesome favorite, at least for the last month. But we want to make sure we share what we're interested in. We're a bunch of we're fun. We're fun. We want to have fun together and share what we have in place.
Someone will win it. It's not just a chance. Someone will win.
Someone will win it. Someone, will have a chance to win, but one person will win one. And again, right, if you want to hear more, we'd love to kind of chat with you. Go to our website. There's a link to the Discord. There's a link to book a demo to go deeper conversation with you. We want to be in this security journey with you, just like Ryan, Phil, what they put into place. We're here to be your partner, so that we can step on this step by step at your pace. With that said, I think we're gonna wrap up here, and thank you very much, and look forward to any upcoming communication for our next month webinar. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.